How do you see the connection between the drugs and spirituality?
Well, first of all, you have to understand what is spirituality. Because if your definition of spirituality is something different from my definition of spirituality, then obviously my answer is not going to fit your understanding. So either you tell me what you mean by spirituality, and then I can answer what is the relationship of drug with spirituality, or what people in general mean by this word spirituality.
No. Well, when they usually take drugs, they say something about getting high, right? Which high means an elevation of sometimes sensual pleasure and sometimes this abstract feeling of getting somewhere. Sometimes it's an illusion of hallucinations that make them feel they're out of the box. Therefore, they cannot transcend their own personality. So,
Yeah, so if this is what you mean by spirituality, then I will say yes, drugs have a lot of things to do with spirituality, but that's not what I mean by spirituality.
Okay.
As you know, the word spirituality is derived from the word spirit, which is a word for Atma, or the conscious individual living being in the body. So there are two objects or two principles in life basically. One is the body, which is inert matter. Another is the Atma, which is the living principle. So when we say spirituality, at least when I say, what I mean is that which brings you closer to your own self.
yeah.
Which makes you realize that you are not the body. You are a spiritual being. You are a spirit soul. You are an Atma or a Purusha. So drugs don't have that ability to bring you to that realization.
Like they give you the ability to be out of the control, so you feel like the body is not...
Drugs can make you feel that there is something higher.
Yeah.
Or make you even feel that you are actually something different from the body. The body is not the only thing, but it cannot give you an experience of the self. And that is one thing. Second thing is that effect of drug is not permanent.
Right.
The spiritual experience, once you have it, you have it. You don't come down from that.
And once the effect of drugs is permanent, it's very bad.
That's very bad. That means you go actually mad.
Yeah.
So drugs don't have this ability, because drug is a material object. So the effect depends on the cause, right? So if the cause is material, the result will also be material.
Right.
Right? So if you are trying to achieve spirituality, which is obviously not material, spiritual experience, spirituality, obviously as the word says, it means something different than material. We have two words, material and spiritual. So materialism and spirituality are two different things.
Yeah.
One is related with inert matter and one is related with the conscious individual being, or with God, who is a spiritual person also. So anything material cannot lead you to spiritual.
Okay.
Only spiritual things can lead you to spiritual. Because if it is not there in the cause, it cannot manifest in the effect.
Right.
So this is a misnomer and misunderstanding, and probably it's easier way to have some experience and then call it spirituality.
Okay.
Because after all, you don't have to do much. Just take a drug. But spirituality is not that simple. Spirituality means that it brings enlightenment, which gives you vision of the reality. So drug does not have that ability to give you vision of the reality. It's not possible. It can give you vision of so many things,
Right.
but not of the reality. So there's a mention of some herbs even in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, that they can help you to meditate. But even that doesn't mean that it's going to make you self-realized. or
Right.
anything like that. If that was a thing, then there was no need for all various types of spiritual practices which are prescribed by different schools of thought in India or outside India. Then the easiest thing will be to take drug and become self-realized. And then you can sell spirituality. But spirituality is something which you cannot sell it and you cannot give it to somebody. It is something which you have to acquire yourself. As like when you eat food, you are hungry. So you have to eat it yourself. Or if you have to sleep, then you have to sleep it yourself. Even if you are the richest person of the world, you cannot hire people to sleep for yourself or to eat for yourself. So the same thing is with self-realization. As the word itself says, you have to realize it yourself. You have to do something yourself.
But you do have a feeling, like what they say of taking drugs and say like, oh my God, I realized so many things. Like,
And I've never taken drugs, so I have no
Right.
idea
there can be like
what they realize.
when you read on experiences on drugs, which is mostly described as those spiritual experiences. Because actually I started this talk on the topic of drugs, as I believe there is the need, the personal need of a human being to find some spiritual outlet.
Yes.
And the decisions they make when they have this need can be either healthy or unhealthy, which can go towards drugs or towards healthy spirituality.
Right. Yeah, so there are people in India, even among the religious people, that they take this, you probably call this bhang, the opium, ganja, they smoke.
Okay.
But nobody has become realized by doing that, that I can guarantee. It makes your brain dull, you become more quiet and peaceful, and then that may look like you're a spiritual person. But the stone piece is also very quiet and peaceful. That does not bring enlightenment. It may activate your brain or give you some sort of knowledge or experience, but that's not spiritual. I think the only influence drugs can have is that if you are a complete atheist and you have no idea about spirituality, then maybe it makes you think that maybe there are some other things than just experiencing with my senses. And you may develop some sort of faith in spiritual life.
Or start to think metaphysically.
Yes, you start to think metaphysically, which has happened to many people. I met many people who said that actually because of drugs I came to this path. But then they gave up drugs.
And they're still on the path.
Yeah, and they're on the path. So it sort of led them to the process, but I don't believe, at least even logically, I'm not convinced, and I've not read it anywhere in scriptures which say that by drugs you can become realized.
Right.
Or it can elevate your consciousness, because the whole idea of spirituality is to elevate your consciousness. So they will say that they go high, means basically their consciousness becomes altered for a short period, but then they are down again, and then probably they are worse than before. So that's not spirituality.
Spirituality elevates you, and afterwards you feel even better.
Yeah, it elevates you permanently.
Right.
It's a permanent thing.
Permanent high.
Yes. So you are eternally high. And you don't need drugs for that.
And it's very cheap.
So you don't pay anything for it. Except that you have to work yourself. You have to work on yourself. So spirituality is not something which you can buy in the supermarket.
That's a good news, actually.
Yes. Although some people are making business of spirituality also, that's not spirituality.
All right.
Clear?
Clear.